Let's begin with Indonesian and Southeast Asian market. But first, how do you describe your role in Diageo?
I guess if you think of, we pride ourselves in Southeast Asia being richer than India and younger than China. I think Southeast Asia is a strategic pillar of growth for the company. And I think that's a role we play. We also play a role in leading from the front. A lot of trends start in this part of the world, and we feel that it's our responsibility and the opportunity for Southeast Asia to really see the future first and lead the company into the new horizons of growth.
Okay.
Picking up from what Preeti said, in Indonesia itself, we absolutely pride ourselves on all the same things, and we're part of that piece. But overall, I think in Diageo, our ambition is to be the most trusted, most respected consumer product company in the world. And we really pride, everything that we do, we pride in taking that forward. And one of the key things that drives that is how we do that in a sustainable way. And sustainability is truly at the heart of everything that we do. For us, consumers are at the heart of everything that we do. And so we build our brands based on our consumers' needs and wants. We do that, as I said before, our ambition for Diageo is to be the best performing, most trusted company in the world, consumer product company in the world. And that's always our guiding light. And again, doing it in a sustainable way is extremely important for us. So for us, as we go into the future, we really want to do things in a very respectful, sustainable way while adhering to the policies of the country itself. So a few things that we drive as Diageo, right? The few pillars that we have. One is really supporting women and our inclusivity and diversity agenda, which is very important. And that goes through the line. Whether it is, again, like I said, our suppliers that we use, whether it is our employees. The second big piece of it is our grain to glass sustainability, right? So again, being as sustainable as we can from grain all the way to glass. And the last piece is responsible drinking. And for us, that is extremely important. We really drive that in Indonesia with education. And we have a program through Drink IQ where we've educated over 50,000 people over the few years. This is our journey. We constantly work on this journey. And we constantly improve on this journey.
So I guess, the reason to be for us, and I guess you were looking for like how do we show up in the market and how are our products accepted in the market. I think Southeast Asia is a very vibrant market, right, in general, and I think it's a combination of all the ASEAN countries that we bring together, and I think each country is showing us trends in the way the consumers are now thinking. I think it's an opportunity because in general the income levels of people are improving, a lot of people moving up. I think you're seeing the consumption go to premiumization, which is something that we can really be a part of.
I see.
There is a general, I guess, movement where people are getting more digitally savvy. So for us to reach out to people, it's really how do you create that platform where they connect with us. The spirits as a segment in this market is growing, and that's a space that actually Diageo has a real right to win. And I think we have offerings that we can bring from our portfolio that really match the energy of the people on ground.
We try to create products that are approachable to consumers. And I think given that we have global brands, I think it helps us to be competitive, not just from a city, region, but also a global level. So I think that's extremely important for us. And it's actually an advantage for us as a result of that, because we do market global brands.
I think to start with, what we want to do and reflect is really the consumers we serve. So 50% of the population is female, and that's what we want to represent in our workforce as well. So that's a starting point of everyone is equal, everyone has equal opportunity, and we want that reflected within the company. So that's an important agenda of how we want to grow our business in a sustainable way, is to represent the consumers, right? The second part is it is not easy to bring them in, right? So we create a lot of policies internally, starting with who we recruit. So when we start recruiting, we try and recruit a balanced plate. When we look at promoting people from within, we try and balance it out. And if you look at our global exec, right, almost 40+% are already female. If you look at our board, about 50% is female. You look at us representing Southeast Asia and Indonesia, the leadership is female. So I would say we are not an exception in Diageo. With the way Diageo goes, we are pretty much the rule. So everywhere you will see as the representation of female is important, and we make a very deliberate effort to reflect that. So much so that as we have devised our 2030 spirit of progress, having 50% female in our leadership is a primary objective that we're all working towards, right? As we work with our communities, we want to ensure that 50% of the participants are female. As we work with our supply chain, we want to ensure that the owners of those supply chain firms are also female.
Our leadership team has about 9 people, and 5 of them are women.
5?
Which is above 50%. So again, we are above sort of the Diageo, where Diageo wants to be. We're already there, and you know, we're not stopping there. We want to see how we can truly make that a mandate throughout the organization. Also, our communities. 70% of the communities that we of our community, 70% of the people that we support are women. So it's all about reskilling and upskilling, you know, focused on women. And the way we do that, right, some concrete things that we do. So internally at Diageo, we look at our benefits, and we look at, you know, paternity as well as maternity leave. And our maternity leave policy is 26 weeks. And our paternity to support that also is 4 weeks, which is much higher than the country's standards.
I see.
Also, we have internal networks like we have the women's network within Diageo, where we really talk about what policies are important to them. So it's not just about recruiting women, it's about how can we support them from inside as we recruit them and help them succeed within an organization, again, to Preeti's point, to reach where the population is.
And if I may just add to, in terms of policies, once we've brought these women in, how do we ensure that they grow? I think the policy of the paternity leave is a great support for women, which is really, I think, industry leading, I'd say. The whole flex work is another thing that we really work on creating the flexibility of the working hours or place. We have now announced globally a 60-40. You don't even have to come to office every day. 2 days out of a week, you can actually work from home. And again, we're not just stopping at that. So we've recently launched a policy on menopause, which again are topics that are difficult for people to talk. Domestic violence is another one, which are again very, kind of thought leading, not just for the industry, but for the entire market. And we're very proud as Diageo to have, a big step every year, and moving ahead further and further in making it easier for women to be in their roles and jobs. I think for us, as a part of 2030, it's 50-50.
50-50.
Right, so that's what we want to get to. And in our, like I said, our global leadership is very close to that. Our Southeast Asia leadership, already close to that. Indonesia, actually ahead of that already, right? So I think that's the composition that we would want. And in fact, as a company, we have been recognized across all the Southeast Asia markets as a best employer. And in fact, recently in Singapore, we were awarded the Inclusion and Diversity Award from HR Asia Awards, because that's how the culture of the company is built in. I think that's, again, in our spirit of progress, like Alefiyah mentioned, there are 3 things, right? There is positive drinking, there is inclusion, diversity, and the third one is grain to glass, right? And grain to glass is an equally important metric. It's really about environmental sustainability. Given we are a food-based product, right? So it starts from the grain that we grow with the farmers that we work at to glass in which it's finally packaged. So that's really sustainability at every end, from the start of the production process to the end of the consumption process. We want to be sustainable end to end. Is really the concept of grain to glass sustainability.
Grain to glasses,
I think it's a very important part of who we are and how we actually interact with our consumers. So I think we as an alcohol, the biggest player in the industry, take it as our responsibility to educate our employees as well as our partners and the broader community on it. And we take, I think there are lots of programs. Like I said, the first part of our spirit of progress is positive drinking. And that's all about drinking better and not drinking more. I think that's an important part of what as a company we believe in, right? The second part of it, like you mentioned, of the underage drinking, we actually have specific programs, and I think Indonesia leads, and I think Alefiyah mentioned that, is really around having this program called Smashed, right, which is about underage drinking. We educate kids in school, we educate everyone on what that means and what is the right age. It's on our labels and our packs everywhere on what's the right minimum age to drink. It's also a program as we are drinking, the whole drink IQ, which is again educating people on what alcohol is, and it doesn't matter whether it's a spirit or a beer or a wine, alcohol is alcohol, and what is the right way of consuming. The other way to think about it is, one of the bigger strategies of the company is to drive luxury, which is premiumization, which again focuses on drinking better and not more. So we are not trying to drive scale by pushing more. It's about evolving to the next level, and a better level of drinking is how we're really driving it. I think it's very good. I think it's amazing, and I'm sure you can share more in Indonesia, but across Southeast Asia, I think we've got a great response, and we've in general beaten all the targets that were given to us on educating more. But there is more and more demand from different schools and colleges to ensure that they are educated on it.
Yeah, and in Indonesia specifically on Drink IQ, we've spoken to over 50,000 consumers over the past couple of years. With Smash, we've spoken to almost over 30,000 people. So, education is key in any sphere.
Yes, right.
I think education is key even in our sphere, and that's, when you have knowledge, you have power, and I think that's the most important thing to make choiceful decisions. And to Preeti's point, drinking better, not more, I think is the most important piece.
Yes. Thank you so much to both of you.
Terima kasih.
Yeah,
Terima kasih.
Makasih, thank you so much. This was fantastic. Really enjoyed speaking with you.